The first thing Daniel Mercer noticed about the farm was the silence. It wasn't the peaceful kind of silence you'd expect from open land. It was heavy, watchful, like something was listening back. The wind rolled across the dry fields, brushing against the tall, dead grass. But even that sound felt muted, swallowed before it could travel too far. He stepped down from his wagon, boots crunching against the dirt, and looked at the land he had just bought for $1. $1, a lifetime of work reduced to a gamble. He exhaled slowly, adjusting his hat as his eyes drifted toward the farmhouse. It stood crooked at the center of the land, old wood darkened by time, windows black like hollow eyes watching him approach. There was something wrong with it. He couldn't explain it yet, but he felt it in his chest, a tightness that refused to leave. Still, land was land, and a man like him didn't get second chances. He grabbed his rifle from the wagon and started walking. As he got closer, he noticed something strange. The door was slightly open. Not broken, not forced, just open. He stopped a few feet away, staring at it. The man who sold him the place had sworn it was abandoned, sworn no one had lived here for years. Daniel tightened his grip on the rifle and pushed the door open slowly. The hinges creaked low and long, like they hadn't moved in years. The smell hit him first. Not rot, not decay, but something earthy, like wet soil after rain, mixed with something faintly metallic. He stepped inside. The house was cleaner than it should have been. The table was upright, no dust thick enough to choke on, no cobwebs stretching across every corner. But it wasn't normal either. Chairs were slightly out of place, like someone had stood up in a hurry and never returned. Daniel's boots echoed softly against the wooden floor as he moved deeper into the house. His eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Then he heard it, a sound, upstairs, a slow, deliberate step. He froze. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to leave, but instead he raised his rifle and looked toward the staircase. Another step, this one louder. He swallowed hard. "Hello?" His voice sounded strange in the silence. No answer, just another step. Then, a voice. "You shouldn't have come here." Daniel's grip tightened. "Who's there?" For a moment, nothing. Then the floor above creaked again, and 3 sets of footsteps began moving at once. Slow, heavy, not normal footsteps. He felt his pulse spike. 3 people. Up there. He took a step back toward the door, but before he could move further, something shifted above him, fast. The ceiling groaned. Then, silence again. Daniel stood frozen, listening. Then, a shadow moved across the top of the stairs. He raised his rifle higher, and then he saw them. 3 women. They stood at the top of the staircase, barely fitting beneath the low ceiling. They were tall, too tall, each one at least a head taller than any man he had ever seen. Their shoulders were broad, their presence overwhelming. They weren't normal. Their eyes locked onto him all at once, and none of them blinked. The tallest one stepped forward. Her voice was calm, almost curious. "You bought this place?" It wasn't a question. Daniel didn't lower his rifle. "Yeah, I did." Another one tilted her head slightly, studying him like he was something unfamiliar. "They always sell it," she murmured. The third one leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching him with a faint, unreadable expression. Daniel's throat felt dry. "Who are you?" The first woman took another step down the stairs. The wood groaned under her weight. "We live here." Simple as that. No hesitation. No apology. Daniel shook his head slightly. "That's not what I was told." At that, the second woman let out a quiet laugh. Not amused, but knowing. "They never tell the truth." Silence fell again. The air felt heavier now, pressing down on him from all sides. He glanced toward the open door behind him, calculating distance. But when he looked back at them, they had moved. Closer. He hadn't even heard them step. His pulse pounded louder now. "Listen," he said carefully, "I paid for this land. If you're staying here, we can figure something out." The third woman finally spoke, her voice lower than the others. "You don't understand." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then help me understand." The first woman stopped halfway down the stairs. Now she was closer enough that he could see the details. Her eyes weren't just dark, they were too still, like deep water with no reflection. "Men come here," she said quietly. "They think they own this place." A pause. Then, "But the land doesn't belong to them." A cold feeling crept down Daniel's spine. He forced a steady breath. "Then who does it belong to?" For the first time, all three women smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, something else, something that made his stomach tighten. The second woman spoke this time. "You'll find out." The wind outside suddenly howled, slamming the door shut behind him with a loud bang. Daniel flinched, instinctively turning his head for a split second. And when he looked back, they were at the bottom of the stairs, now only a few steps away. He raised the rifle instantly. "Don't come any closer." They stopped, but not because they were afraid. The first woman tilted her head again, studying him like before. "You're different." Daniel didn't respond. The third woman stepped slightly to the side, circling just enough to make him shift his stance, unsure where to aim anymore. "Most men run," she said. "You didn't." Daniel's voice came out firmer now. "I still can." The second woman's smile widened slightly. "No." A long silence followed. Then the first woman spoke again, softer this time. "This place changes people." Another step forward. Daniel didn't move, but his finger tightened near the trigger. "And once you're here," she stopped right in front of him, close enough that he could feel her presence like heat. "You don't leave the same." Daniel held her gaze, refusing to back down. But deep inside, something told him the truth. He had made a mistake. A big one. The kind you don't walk away from easily. Outside, the wind kept howling. Inside, the silence returned, heavier than before. And as the three women stood around him, watching, waiting, Daniel Mercer realized the farm he bought for $1 might cost him everything. The woman standing closest to him didn't move, didn't blink, just watched him like she was waiting for something inside him to break. But Daniel Mercer had been through worse than strange land and stranger people. He had seen men die for less than $1 deal. He had buried friends with his own hands. This, whatever this was, it wasn't going to take him without a fight. His voice came low, steady. "I didn't come here to run." For the first time, something shifted in their expressions. Not fear, not surprise, but recognition. The second woman took a slow step forward, circling him again, her heavy footsteps echoing through the wooden floor like distant thunder. "Then you're either brave," she said softly, "or already lost." Daniel didn't follow her with the rifle this time. He kept it aimed at the one in front of him. "You keep talking like this land's alive." A pause. The third woman answered this time. "Because it is." The wind outside howled louder, rattling the windows. The walls creaked, not like wood under pressure, but like something breathing slowly beneath it. Daniel felt it now. The floor under his boots, faintly shifting. Not enough to see, but enough to feel. His jaw tightened. "What is this place?" The first woman stepped back slightly, giving him space, but not freedom. "Long before you came, before the men who sold it, before the town even had a name," her voice dropped lower, "this land fed on those who tried to claim it." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "That's not possible." The second woman let out a quiet breath, almost amused. "You're standing inside it." Silence again, but now it wasn't empty. Now it was full full of something watching, listening, waiting. Daniel forced his mind to stay clear. Then why are you still here? That question lingered for a moment. The three women exchanged brief glances. Not words, not signals, but something passed between them. Then the third one spoke. Because we didn't fight it. A chill ran through him. What does that mean? The first woman looked straight into his eyes. It changes you, slowly. You stop fighting. You stop leaving. And then, she paused. You belong to it. Daniel felt a flicker of anger now, cutting through the unease. I don't belong to anything. The floor beneath them gave a low, deep groan. All four of them froze. Not because of fear, because they recognized it. The sound came again, louder. This time the walls trembled slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin streams. The second woman whispered, It knows. Daniel's grip tightened. Knows what? The answer came not from them, but from the house itself. A deep cracking sound split through the room, like roots tearing through dry earth. The wooden floor near the far wall suddenly buckled, rising slightly as something beneath it pushed upward. Daniel took a sharp step back. What the hell? The board split open with a violent snap. A dark gap formed in the floor, and from it came that same earthy, metallic smell as before, only stronger now. The third woman moved quickly, not toward him, but toward the gap. It's waking up. Daniel's pulse slammed in his ears. From what? But he already knew. From him. From a new owner. From someone who still resisted. The first woman turned back to him, and for the first time, there was urgency in her voice. If you fight it now, it will tear you apart. Daniel shook his head. I'm not letting some cursed dirt decide my fate. The second woman stepped closer again, faster this time. Then you don't understand. The ground shook harder. The crack widened. Something moved in the darkness below. Not a shape, not a creature, but a presence, massive and wrong. Daniel felt it press against his mind, like a weight trying to force him down, to make him kneel. His breathing grew heavier, not from fear, from pressure, like the land itself was trying to break him. It wants you to stay, the first woman said quietly. It always does. Daniel's teeth clenched. Too bad. In one sharp motion, he turned and grabbed the oil lantern from the table beside him. The women didn't stop him. They just watched. He pulled the cloth from his pocket, shoved it into the lantern flame, and without hesitation, threw it straight into the broken floor. The fire hit the darkness below, and for a split second, nothing. Then the ground screamed. Not a sound from air, not from any throat, but from the earth itself. The entire house shook violently. The crack snapped wider as something recoiled beneath it. The smell turned sharp, burning. The second woman staggered slightly, grabbing onto the wall. The third dropped to one knee. The first one didn't move, but her eyes widened just a fraction. Daniel didn't wait. He grabbed another lantern. You said it feeds on people? He said, voice hard. Let's see how it handles fire. He hurled the second lantern into the gap. Flames burst upward this time, licking through the broken wood. The ground convulsed violently now. The walls split with loud cracks. The ceiling groaned like it was about to collapse. The pressure in Daniel's chest suddenly eased. Just slightly. Enough. He moved fast. Get out. The women didn't argue. Not this time. They moved. The four of them rushed toward the door as the house continued to tear itself apart behind them. Daniel slammed the door open, and they stumbled out into the open land just as the front of the house collapsed inward with a thunderous crash. Dust and smoke filled the air. The ground beneath the farmhouse continued to shift and buckle, like something deep below was thrashing in pain or rage. Then, slowly, it stopped. The wind carried the dust away piece by piece, Silence returned again, but this time, it was different, lighter. The first woman stepped forward slowly, staring at the ruins. "No one's ever done that," Daniel exhaled, chest rising and falling hard. "Yeah, well," he looked back at the broken house. "Guess I'm not like most men." The second woman let out a quiet breath, almost a laugh, but this time it wasn't cold. "No, you're not." The third one stood beside them, watching the ground carefully. "It's not gone." Daniel nodded. "I didn't think it would be." A long pause stretched between them. Then the first woman turned to him again. "You should leave." Daniel looked out across the land, the dry fields, the endless stretch of silence that no longer felt quite as heavy. He shook his head slowly. "No." The women didn't speak. He adjusted his hat, eyes steady now. "I paid $1 for this land." A faint, tired smirk touched his face. "I'm not walking away from it." The wind passed through the fields again, but now it carried sound with it. The grass rustled freely. The silence was broken. The second woman glanced at the others. "Then we stay." The third nodded. "We finish it." The first one met Daniel's eyes one last time, and this time she smiled. Not cold, not strange, human. Then she said quietly, "This land picked the wrong man." Daniel looked back at the ruins, then out at the open horizon. "Yeah," he said, "it did." Far beneath the broken farmhouse, something still shifted. Deep, dark, waiting. But above it, for the first time, it wasn't alone.